And we're back here once again with another episode of the MSK show. And this is going to be episode 181. So I hope you guys had a great day. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your week that is ahead of you. And in this episode of the MSK show, we are going to be doing a comic book review on Bloodruth number 1. This is going to be the 7th comic book released from the Rippaverse. But before we get into any of that, my smoke detector definitely is not going off, and it's definitely Savage Dad fucking with me. So, just to let you guys know, next week, we're not going to be reviewing anything on Wednesday. We're actually going to have that panel show that I was talking about with Labs Comic Fan and Lunchbox Warren, where we're actually going to be coming for Wednesday's show next week, and it's going to be comic book hot takes. It could be pretty much anything. Something
if MSK didn't lose his comic books.
Technically, I never lost them. They were there. I was just too tired to pick them up and open them and read them. That's the problem. So not that I didn't have them. I just couldn't open them because I was tired and I fell asleep after I got off work. Like literally today, guys, I came home and I was like, okay, usually when I read a Rippaverse book, and I'm not kidding with this, I've did this since ISO number 1. Since I know they're big books, I have to take a nap before I read them because I know that it's going to be a journey to get to the end of the book, whether it's going to be good or bad. And I did that today with Bloodruth, but I ended up waking up from my nap about at 4:46. Then I rushed to start it. And then by the time I was barely in the second act at 5:22. I have to take a nap because if I don't, I'm old and I literally can't enjoy something when I'm super tired.
You ain't old, please, bitch.
I'm like, damn, dude. I feel like if I don't have a nap, I just can't like enjoy something because I'm not going to be super well rested.
I understand it. Like I have a hard time. I have to get the right mindset, but like if I can't, what I've learned is that I can't sit in my lazy boy and read. It doesn't fucking matter. I'll fall asleep. Where did I read this at? I think I read, or I have to read first thing in the morning when I get up. If I go and read when I get up in the morning, I'm good. So usually on the weekends, like I burned through this, I burned through Destro. I started the Kyle Rayner compendium, and then I realized Hal Jordan flies off his Parallax, and we're going to roll into the next, and nothing's going to get covered. And then I found used copies because that's the only way you can get them of 0 Hour, which I'm really hoping that trade for $11, a great fucking price.
Wait, 0 Hour event? Didn't they have that in the DC's Finest line? DC's Finest line had part 1 of the 0 Hour. I think they did. Yeah,
I didn't see it, but dude,
0
I can
Hour,
get it
right?
for $11. Very good on Amazon for the original trade.
The original trade? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Dude, I have the original
that's by Dan Jurgens.
I had to go back
right?
to
That's by Dan Jurgens.
Yep.
Okay.
So
okay.
I went back to Return of Superman, which I have the original printings of Death, World Without, and Return of Superman from way back in the day. Like I got these when they printed the fucking things. Like you open them up and they smell like that old newsprint, dude. God. I was posting pictures from Return of Superman because that's where Mongol nukes Coast City and sets everything off with Hal Jordan in this path for where Green Lantern and Kyle Rayner comes about. And I wasn't reading DC at the time. I was picking up Marvel because that's what my dad was into. He got me like into comics in like 91, 92, I think. And the death of Superman though was huge, man. It didn't matter.
It didn't make mainstream news. Read. That was probably about as mainstream as
nothing's ever been.
Oh, unless you count the Larry King, Stan Lee CNN interview, but that was mostly like Larry King just trying to shit on Stan Lee for being successful at making comic books. Because I remember that when it was airing, he was like, well, you make these characters and they're like in tights and they say people. He was like, yeah. Like, it's almost like he was brought on CNN to get belittled. Like, I could believe that people were treating Stan Lee like shit because I remember him in that interview and I was like, why did he come to this? Who told him he had to go on CNN to get belittled by some fucking losers like them? Like, it's crazy. Yeah. So I wanted to show you guys this really quickly because I know you were talking about 0 Hour. You said, well, this is 0 Hour Part 1. They put out book 1 for it.
Oh, dude, see, look. I got the whole thing for like $11 though. How many pages is that? Let's see.
These are like 496.
96. Okay, maybe it's what is that then? Events 0 hour. So maybe that's a lot of the crossover bits. Dude,
And they're
Jersey.
releasing book 2, I think, in a few months from now, because this one came out last year in 2024. I'm trying to see what are the content. Yeah, 0 Hour Part 2 drops May 6th.
How many pages is that?
These are huge. These are about 500 pages.
This must be pulling in a lot of the extra books as well. Just look up a 0 hour trade paperback.
Okay.
Like, what does that look like?
Trade paper. Jesus Christ. Zero. No, DC Comics. DC, what are you doing?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
I got the cheaper one. So, Crisis in Time, 0 hour. How many pages was that?
Jeez,
so that just collects the showcase and the mini series. It's not all the extra shit, and I'm kind of fine with that. I don't want to read. I mean, maybe I do. I don't know. If I like this, I might be more interested in those. But I just want this to complete that arc of like reading Green Lantern 48 and 49 after reading Return of Superman and getting in that like seeing Hal Jordan fall apart in the story and like what a teardown that was and what kind of led to all of it. But then getting to see 0 hour where the major conflict happens. I mean, maybe all of the extra crossover books might be interesting. And then Final Night is kind of after, not I don't think it's directly after 0 hour, but Hal Jordan comes back as Parallax and kind of his final hurrah. I want to see the final send off of Hal Jordan, then finish getting into the Kyle Rayner compendium. But I started getting into this last night. Fucking this thing. Where's
the Nightwing compendium? You said I have that too. Man, that thing is huge. Oh, it's another piece of good news, everyone. So, as you guys know, I really like Batman, the Nightfall story where Bane broke Batman's back. And as you guys know, the trade paperback, that volume 1 you guys see all the time that people have. Well, DC is so bad at collecting like collected editions at all, is the fact that they will literally not follow up certain things. So here, I'll just show you guys right now. This is better to show you over here. Where did this go? Where did I put it? Oh, it's right here. Jeez. I'm glad because I didn't want to fucking go and look all the shit. So this right here, this has never gotten a volume 2, despite this being a volume 1 for God knows how long. So it's better to actually read Batman Nightfall in omnibus format, because in omnibus format you get the entire thing. And they're just releasing volume 3. They announced Batman Omnibus Volume 3 for Nightfall. It's going to be coming out.
I thought it was already out. I thought you could already get all of those.
I heard it was only just the first 2, but I do know they announced a 2025 edition for Volume 3. But I think that 3 already existed. I think, honestly, could definitely be truthful. But yeah,
I have that same one. That one's a good one.
You could definitely get this and just be cool with Volume 1, but the problem here is like,
yeah, I've heard people say there's diminishing returns over the next few volumes, but it's like Dennis O'Neil, Batman Spectre book. No, dude, where is just like the trade?
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Oh, hi, student of God. What's up, man? Oh, I remember that. Yeah, now I remember. Volume 3.
Oh man, Bat Sauce is in the chat. What's up, Bat Sauce?
Oh my God. That's Eric July's alt account from what we heard. That was his alt account to go after CG. But Batman Nightfall Omnibus Volume 3 is out of print. That's why it's rare. Yeah, I forgot.
Oh, no shit, really?
Yeah, it's been out of print for a long time.
So let's see here. Batman #1, $21. Dude, it's 630 pages too, like of fantastic art, of fantastic writing. Like, you should absolutely own that. There's no reason not to own that at all.
Yeah,
but yeah, you're gonna get all the main parts of the story there. I've heard though that there's diminishing returns in Nightfall Part 2, which is Night Quest. is what
Isn't
they
that the
call it.
one where he goes to Lady Shiva to have her unbreak his back? That's what I remember. Maybe I've
Something
read the
like
story
that.
in forever.
Azrael
Took
takes over.
over. I remember
Jean-Paul
that.
Vallée takes over as Batman. He's in a
I remember
completely
that.
different costume too. If you look at him there, that one is $23. You can still get it. So let's see. And you can get Night Send, where Bruce Wayne returns,
Yeah.
isn't happy with the way Jean-Paul has been handling it, and that's another 600-page book for $17, dude. This is
Did you ever
what
get
I was saying.
Bane's
In practice
Conquest?
for my hot takes, I'm gonna have this is, dude, the most bang for your buck with comics right now is in shit that already got printed before some people were probably even born that are getting into Batman. A great place to get into it. You're going to like, if you read all of Nightfall, you're going to have a very good feel for who Batman and Bruce Wayne is, even in the modern era. Some of the best ups and downs of Batman and his work. You got Alan Grant in there, Doug Monich, Chuck Dixon, like Denny O'Neil is in there, Joe Duffy's in there. Like, you've got some of the most significant writers on Batman in the history of the character, period. Yeah. Absolutely worth the money for 22 plus 24, so 46 plus 753, so $63. For $63, you can get almost 1,800 pages of Batman to just gorge yourself on. Most people are spending $60 on their fucking pull list, which half of it they probably don't even fucking want anymore, man.
Let's be honest here. Half that shit they're not even reading. There's no way. I
Nope.
think it's that thing like with the gym. You know how people where like the new year starts and they want to go to the gym and then they have a gym membership going and they're paying for a gym membership, but they haven't gone in forever.
No, that's where I'm at right now. I'm looking at ditching it, and for my birthday next month, I'm looking at getting some home gym equipment and
Because that's what comic book pull lists are.
There.
They're essentially like gym memberships that you forgot you had, that you signed up for, that you just keep having books added to your pull list. Actually, you know. Oh,
Yep.
Also, I know you guys probably didn't hear me say this because I didn't know if this interview was going to happen, but I will be having a comic book shop owner on an episode of the MSK show after this one.
Oh, nice.
And he's going to be
what shop, dude?
He's in Michigan. I forgot. Wonder starts with a W. I forgot the name of it. But he is going to come on and talk about all the bullshit that Diamond has been doing to the comic book industry. Because he was a guy apparently that tried to rock the boat. You know, there's that classic song, "Don't Rock the Boat." He apparently started rocking the boat, and you know they didn't like that evidently. But this is one thing I will say for comic book shop owners. I notice this a lot, and I wouldn't say, okay, this is hard. So if you're someone where you know you can't afford your comic books anymore, like you can't afford your pull list anymore, then tell your shop to cancel it for you, because there is no point in them keeping all those books and you not going in there to buy them. You know?
Yeah, it's kind of a dick move.
Yeah, but then what the shops will do, the shops will continuously, you know, keep adding books to this person's pull list, and they haven't been able to like even buy them. So like I can't really wholly essentially blame the customer. It's mostly like, why is this business owner, knowing they're not getting this person's money, stacking more books on?
Oh, that dude, I had a problem with that. I've had a problem with well, see, that depends, dude. This is the difference between competent shop owners that understood their customer base and engaged with their customer base, and shop owners that didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, though, dude, a deposit for a fucking pull box didn't exist. You walked into a store like it was a church and you were welcomed in and like, bro, do you want a pull box? Yeah, I want a pull box. And there were no limits. Like, you could put 3 books on there, 2 books on there. They didn't give a shit. They'd pull 1 book because no matter what, they said, okay, I'm putting this one aside so you can get it. That helps me know how much of this book to order, period. And yeah. Then now, you know, fast forward into today, like most shops, you got to put a deposit down because a lot of people did sketch shit. But what I'd found is that there were shops that did that shit, that even if they didn't have a problem, it just became a standard, but it opened door for shops to say, charge you even for books that you didn't come pick up. Who knows? Maybe you fucking moved or something. But like, I the last time I had a pull list at a shop a long time ago, it wasn't much. It was around Superman 1000, and I wanted to make sure I got that one, or Action Comics 1000 and Batman or Detective 1000. And I want to make sure I got those. So I opened a pull list with a few things on it, and like, you didn't do a deposit, but he'd like, hey, I need to put your credit on hold or whatever. And I'm like, kind of gay, but all right, whatever. But like, if you didn't reach out and pick your books up every month, you put your box on hold. Like, that was part of what he told me. He's like, hey, if you don't pick your box up by the end of the month, or I don't see you come in and get anything, basically, if your box is here on the 30th of each month and it clearly hasn't been touched, you've got all of this month's books there, I'm going to look at it and I'm going to say, your box is on hold until you come pick it up. I'm not holding anything else. So this is a standing rule. Like,
yeah, that should be a rule though. No holds.
It won't be the next one. But there are some places that would do that shit to people and then just charge them for it. For like, they would put months and months and months of comics on there. I had a friend who went to a shop that did that once, and he's like, and I was like, well, dude, why didn't you cancel it? And he's like, I told him, like, I don't know, he was being.
Isn't that also stupid on the shop?
Just wasn't being consistent about it, and he wasn't like. He didn't just cancel it, and it's like, dude, you don't even have the money, so just tell him. And he felt embarrassed about it, and I'm like, I fucking called the shop and wound up canceling it for him because he knew we were friends. And I'm like, hey, you need to cancel it. And I picked up some of the books that I wanted that were in there. I was like, here, I'll get some of his box, but like, he ended up getting charged for all the rest of it.
How much money did he owe? Sound like he owed a lot of money.
Yeah, it was like $150.
Jeez.
Because they just let it keep rolling. And I was like, dude, if they don't have a policy in place where they will where they'll basically stop your box after you not picking up for a month and try to contact you, then
the average person
don't bother getting a box, man.
Is only subscribe to like 3 different titles. Because the problem here is people pick up like 7 or 8 different titles, and they only really got them for like number ones, but they just keep going on and on and on.
That fucks the stores too, man. It's like,
but the store owners, like, how do you, like, if you know that some of the customers ain't shit, like, no offense to some of the customers, but if the store owner knows you ain't shit and you're broke, you ain't got no money, why are they adding more books to a pull list that they know they can't get money off of? That's just not. But I understand the books are ordered in advance.
Telling them like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be in next week. I just got to get paid, or I got to get a little money. And he kept doing that shit.
Yeah, my wife came over.
And go.
Yeah, I saw my wife, and she banged my brother, so we got a divorce, and she took the house, so I couldn't afford my comic books.
Hey, dude, like, shit like that happens, and like, you know what? At the end of the day, this is the thing. Like, a lot of store owners should be realizing is that, like, I know that you've got your Wednesday denizens that this is their whole world. They're gonna be there and pour every ounce of every dollar they have into that box. That's great. But then there's going to be just people who it's the last thing on their mind, and they're going to forget about it. And that's why I think, like, just if somebody doesn't pick up their books for a whole month, just 30th, their box is full of the shit that came from the rest of the month, then put the box on hold. Send them an email, give them a call, whatever, and just be like, hey, your box is on hold. I'm not putting anything new in it until you pick this up.
Yeah, because there are like people
that should be a rule,
not come in and pick up their pull list, or they probably just forgot it exists, or you have comic book shop owners that'll keep adding books knowing they're not getting money for it. But from the shop owner point of view, they've already ordered those books in advance. They're already paid for. So they're hoping that you do come through, because it's essentially like if you have like 200 people subscribed to stuff, you're going to get 200 people's worth of money. But if those 200 people worth of money start dwindling and that becomes like 50, and you've already ordered the books in advance, and you have multiples, let's say a lot of these books, because it's not just like you get one book, you get a box full of a lot of these books, actually, that becomes a problem. Like, I would say, like, I will mostly put the blame on the customers on that one. You guys just got to stop being broke, or if you don't have the money, just be like, hey, I don't have it right now. Cancel it. But if that shop owner doesn't want to give you a pull list after that because you kind of, screwed them over, that's also your fault.
Dude, you could get straight up banned from a lot of stores for doing that too. Like usually store owners in an area are at least in some kind of in like a city are in some kind of contact with one another. I mean,
it's because they did the whole 1 in 25, 1 in 50, 1 in 75.
Oh yeah,
and all that bullshit. Yeah.
I learned back in the day there can be a lot of
variants too on all this stuff. Like
too.
For me, I typically usually always get the main cover because it's just a lot more easier that way. I like variant covers, I do, but it's just kind of easier to just get the main cover at once and just go with that.
Yeah.
But sometimes those main covers look so damn bad, I gotta get a variant or at least a cover B or C. But keep in mind, also, it's not just it's not just floppies on a pull list. There are trades that come out, people, weekly. There's omnibuses that come out. I know people potentially on Facebook, they're like, hey man, I had like 2 omnis on there. I had a bunch of trades and my shop owner didn't want to like give me another pull list. And we're trying to tell the dude, like, you do know that he doesn't know that you were going to eventually come in here and pay this off, right? Keep in mind, we don't know how long this person took to pay this off too.
Yeah.
Like you can't do that. This is part of being responsible as an adult. If you know you can't afford something, you just cancel it. It's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
So it's somebody that doesn't need to be exploding into that kind of thing. And the shop owner needs to understand if that person doesn't have any money and you haven't seen the person in 2 months, that needs to be canceled and you need to stop ordering them their books. That's it. You know? Ram, what's up, buddy? He says,
and that's got to be
MSK. I saw that you didn't get your Phenomena Nova book from Von Coleman. Was a mark delivered? I really don't remember. Actually, I never got Phenomena Nova or Heroic Tales #1.
Or he lost it.
I don't know.
What was that? What was the one that you did? Shit, you did this before, bro. I know it. Was it the Dean Cain? I think it was Dean Cain, and then you found it in your
I'm gonna look
mail
and
somewhere
see
ago.
if it came delivered. Because keep in mind, I don't really get my mail here. I get my mail at someone else's house because I live in an area where probably don't want to get your mail here actually. But the person that I know always delivers all the packages. Even when I got the Dean Cain one, I got it because she was a person that delivered it to me. I'll have to check and see if it was delivered.
You just lost it forever and bought another one.
Yeah, I'll probably just end up just buying another one from them because it might have been delivered. I'm being honest here, I really don't know. I get packages, guys, constantly. There's omnibuses here that I still haven't opened. There's trades here I still haven't opened. There's floppies that I bought for random titles that I still haven't got a chance to open. So if it says delivered and it was sent, I don't imagine that he didn't deliver it. I'm not saying they didn't, but if they did and I can't find them anytime soon, I'll just rebuy them. It's not that big a deal, honestly.
It's probably catch up tier if you're getting issue 2, dude. So
yeah, which I didn't back the catch up tier because I just got book 2 because I already thought I got book 1. But keep in mind, I'm actually a genius. All right, so we're gonna end up reviewing this. We're gonna end up reviewing Bloodruth #1 in just a moment here. Let me get just a second here. No, it's fine. It's probably just I'll just rebuy it if need. Because people know that sometimes I generally forget about stuff that I've ordered because I order so much stuff. And people think do you spend all your money on books? No, I have
the rest of it depends on crack.
Yes, for sure. And that's just because I'm black. No, like my bills are already paid. And if I already pay my bills and my internet bill gets paid like twice on a month, so I'll pay like half of it up front, then I'll pay like the rest of it later on in the month because you don't need to pay it all at once because the internet bills usually do it like the end of the month. So once my bills are already paid and I have like food for the month, it's like, well, what else am I gonna spend the money on? I never actually ever go broke buying books. Never do that. Some people have done that. Don't do that. Spend money on a new smoke detector. Yeah, my smoke detector. Fucking hell, dude. It is dead. There's no batteries in that. But yes, I'm gonna reply to this person right now as Savage Dad is gonna talk to you guys as I mute my mic really quickly.
Who are you replying to?
I'm replying to a person on Twitter really quickly. I just need you to talk for like 1 minute.
What are you, Ethan Van Piver? It's MSK over here just getting ready to be like, Alrighty, well, I guess he's wandered off because he can't control himself with the tweets, but that's better that he lose it on there than he say it on stream. I'm sure whatever it is would probably get the stream kicked or banned or cause him to drop it. But yeah, looking forward to getting into this. Finally, I read this weekend. I had some fun with that. Hopefully, the Twisted Sisters see the review. I don't know. Posted either way. I can't wait to talk about this one.
And crack smoker. Holy shit.
You're what? Yep, exactly. Oh, what the hell? Connected.
All right.
Something connected. All right.
You guys are going to really enjoy.
Are you ready to go?
Review, actually. Ooh, damn, this was a lot. Now, hey, I'll just mention this before we start the review. Black girls are not attractive. Sorry to break your
she looks fine
out there.
Who did the
art? I think you liked the part where she had no clothes on.
It?
I was disgusted at that because black women are not attractive, but you know,
you're crazy, dude. They drew her fine. She looked good.
She looked not. I mean, there's only so much that artists could do to make that mocha frappe look anything worth desirable. Honestly,
nah, she looked hot. I'm down for it.
Oh my god, why is that all white guys like black girls, but black guys only want white girls? Crazy. Did you date a black girl when you were in high school? Did you date a black girl at any point in your dating career?
Once.
You had a Shaniqua fetish or something?
Dude, I dated a girl of just about every particular domination. I think I might have dated a Middle Eastern girl once for a minute or two. Indian,
I've never been attracted to black girls, man. I mean, light-skinned black girls like her are like okay. And I'm stretching that okay to like a 4 out of 10. They're not.
No problem with me. I just like.
Sorry, man. Bro. Like literally, I straight up do not get turned on by black girls. Look, if you put a black girl in front of me, my dick's just nothing. I'm like, all right, cool. Hello, get away from me. I'm not kidding. I literally do not get turned on by any black girl unless
MSK is just about the very white few girls.
Very few. Okay, actually, before we start, who is a better meal to eat? Hypothetically speaking, Yaira, Bloodruth, or Saoirse? Not Stefania. She's just disgusting. I don't know, man. Saoirse got some big old fat titties. You guys know I love me some big old fat white girl titties. Them looking great. You know, I did a poll on my Twitter account, and I asked who is the better snack, Yaira or Bloodruth. But the Soska sister said that Saoirse is just a whole ass meal, and I'm like, you got a point there. Saoirse is just, yeah.
She's the redhead, right? We haven't seen her story yet.
No, she has.
I do. I got a thing for redheads. I will say I do like redheads. So
you have the Ripazine number 2, right? That was her, I guess, first short story.
No, that was a good one. That was.
It wasn't bad. Yeah,
I dug it. I'm down.
She had a nice big old fat ass. Ugh, gosh.
You know, redheaded.
I don't feel like Yaira's good at sex, though. I feel like Yaira would be very bad white girl at sex. Anime is gay. Oh, fuck off. Anime is amazing. You're crazy.
Everybody's just coming into chat now to keep you completely off kilter so you can't get to the review. That's what's happening.
Oh, I know there are some people here that normally probably wouldn't be here unless we're doing this. Typically through the reviews, I actually go through pretty much the entire book. Because
taking a look.
So like the reason people ask me why do I do that? It's very simple. Because I'm not like, how's this? I'm pretty new to doing this still. We've only started doing this back like what, 2023 is when we started reviewing comic books. That was on like my older Iron Man podcast or whatever. So if I don't flip through the pages and stuff, I'm not going to be able to give you a full review of something because I'm not saying the books are forgettable, not just with these. It could be with any of the comic books. I feel like it's better to go through the book because that way you can break down like dialogue, great art, action pieces, a lot of stuff. You know, there are some people that can do it without going through the book. That's awesome. You know, like some people can do that. I can't. I literally cannot do that. I'm not at that level yet where I can remember every single thing in the book, even if it's 24-page floppy. I just can't because there's just so much.
I'll remember most of it. I mean, dude, I was in a zone for reading this weekend. I got this done. I got Destro done, which I think people slept on. I can't believe. I don't know. I'm. It's gonna be a minute before the first G.I. Joe trade finally drops. But when it does, I gotta see why it seems so quiet on that. But I'm seeing more people getting so into Transformers right now that like I think Drunk 3PO was doing like a live review of it today. He had, I don't know what he was using, but like I'm jealous. He had a better doc scan setup than I do, and I'm like, bro, I don't know what you're doing or how, but I'm gonna DM you and find out because I liked what he was doing. He was showing some. I didn't watch it because I'm like, I'm gonna get too many spoilers. I don't want to see it, but like some cool stuff. And then I saw some posts that like apparently we're now at the point where Megatron's showing up, and it's like, dude, all right, things are getting.
That was Megatron. Oh shit!
Apparently, like that must be this month's issue. Must have dropped recently or
There's
something.
no way,
So
because when I read it in the solicitations for that specific issue, it didn't build that character as Megatron. But I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't, because it kind of looks like. No, wait. We know what he looks like in the first volume. You have the flashback of what they put Megatron in. He doesn't
and
look
you've
like
seen
that.
him if you've read the Joe books. You've seen him that Cobra Commander has a hold of him. So
yeah, we did Transformers, Robots in Disguise and Transport to Oblivion, the first 2 volumes.
Yep.
All right, so after this fire truck goes through, we're gonna start. Hey ho, MSK. What the heck? Don't take my advice and be a homosexual. Oh my god, no! Because the thing here is putting spoilers in a title is just that. I just don't typically do that. I just tell people if it's going to be spoilers or not. But it should be spoilers, self-explanatory, because we're going through the book anyway, you know? So that's just me.
Yeah, we're going through it end to end. So if you haven't read it, spoiler, this is not a spoiler-free review of it. I mean,
no
us
reviews
discussing
I
is
do are like spoiler-free, because I only do spoiler-free movie reviews on my vlogs, because that's just, it's so new. I don't want to spoil it until a video, but most things I do are spoiler because that's the best way I can really voice my thoughts and opinions on them. That's just me.
Almost passed.
All right. Now,
you ready?
I also want you guys keep this in mind here. Black women are either fucking what? 1 out of 10s? God, that's debatable too. Or they're like 7 out of 10. I'm just being honest. Black women are not attractive. You think
MSK is only into the thick white girls.
I want you to pick one for me right now before we go. Beyonce or Scarlett Johansson?
Nah, bro, you got to go back to like Tyra Banks back in the 90s, bro.
Okay, Tyra Banks or the bitch that Charlie Sheen was dating, that white girl, Denise something. Denise Richards. Yeah.
Oh, Tyra Banks, definitely.
No way. You guys are high. No way.
Nah, dude. Tyra Banks had the better body, bro.
Okay, what about Neve Campbell or Halle Berry?
Probably Halle Berry, bro.
You're
no, Neve Campbell from Party of 5 was boring emo looking chick. Now, if you want to talk about a real battle there, what was the other girl? Jennifer Love Hewitt versus Halle Berry. That's a hard decision. That's a hard decision.
Halle Berry is not attractive. She's just all right.
I don't know what she looks like today, but like
she looks relatively the same. She just has short hair. That's it. She was at the
short hair kills it.
Yeah. Remember when she was wearing that white wig as Storm? You could clearly oh god. Oh shit. Kill me now. Fuck it.
Halle Berry's fine.
All right, let's go. Let's have some fun. You guys are ready for something that is going to completely satisfy you in a way that I can satisfy my wife with multiple orgasms. Because I know
if that's what you're looking for, leave right now.
I know how to thrust, and I know how to
MSK. MSK doesn't know any of these things.
Are you implying I've never had sex? That's not true.
He hasn't even read a book on this. He has no idea what he's talking about.
I've read internet articles on how to have sex. It's not that hard, honestly.
I bet you have. MSK is actually the guy who's on like Playboy.com just reading articles. MSK's over on like X videos, and he's just like reading the summary and shit. He's reading the chat. MSK is the only guy that posts in the comment sections on porn sites.
Hey, man, the comment sections are fire. Don't discriminate the comment section. I want to review the Strokes. What are you talking about? Is that a bad thing to review? Like, the acting in porn has gotten exceptionally better over the years. It's not been that bad.
You would know, bro. There's
I
only
don't
so
watch
many ways you can deliver a pizza.
I'm not a porn connoisseur, okay? But you're not really a porn addict.
An expert.
You're not really a porn addict unless you watch like BBWs. I'm just saying. I used to be against like big women. I used to be, but hear me out, guys.
Bullshit.
I wasn't the black guy into big women, but
nah, he is. He always has been. Don't let him lie to you about
porn
this shit.
is fucking pretty good. Like, big women porn is complete fire. That shit is great. Like, I was dry for a few days after watching that shit. I was completely done. I was like, I feel like Randy after that South Park episode where he hadn't had internet porn in a few days.
I really hope that the Soska sisters are not watching this episode live.
I hope they reposted this.
They reposted this? Oh,
they reposted on their Twitter profile.
Jen and Sylvie, if you're there, I apologize for associating.
I will be seeing. They said they're going to be at the Vegas meetup, so I will definitely see them there if they're going to be there, because I'll be there. I'll be there on.
They'll be hiding from you.
What? They like all my posts. They're like, MSK, you're hot, rich, and good looking. We would love to have you a part of our next movie.
That's never happened. What alternate universe did you get into? And
you know what's crazy? I even have
the anti-monitors show up in your previous universe recently and destroy it.
They even friended me on Facebook. They have we're Facebook buddies. I'm Facebook buddies with both of them. See, that's how it works right there. I could DM them right now if I wanted to. I don't, because that'd be fucking weird. Like, imagine if this DM be like, "Hey, yo, girl, you writing Bloodruth this month?" Just don't do that. I don't do that. But you know. I don't even DM them on their Twitter account.
No, you just do it live on stream.
I would never. No. I was talking to Von Coleman because Von Coleman's a white guy, and I want to talk to white people only. Give me one sec here. But yes, thank you, Jen and Sylvie, for the retweet. Thank you. And people are going to probably always say these retarded, these stupid things. Why didn't you just start the review when the show started? Because I don't know. We prefer talking and entertaining you. And
now, if you started it when it started, we'd have 3 episode restarts before we even got to. So this is better because it keeps the stream alive, and there aren't like 50 links for StreamYard for me to find.
People think I'm literally talk to Iron. I've met Iron and Selena multiple times in real life. They live basically like an hour away from me. They're gonna come on hang out at the end of next month, and we're gonna have a little cool stream for you guys then. Iron knows I'm tall, and Selena. So like, you're tall, dark, and handsome. Yeah, you met me in real life. You know I'm tall, buff, handsome, good looking. I have physical, imposing stature, charisma, riz. No. All right. Let's start this review off, because I'm pretty sure that's why you guys are here in general. Give me one moment. There's a black guy outside, and he's leaving. Probably not going to take care of his kids, but he is going to leave and do something.
Is it your dad?
Oh my goodness. So would you believe that a typical Comicsgate random person that I've never heard of is 4 years late on their book? Could you believe that? I never heard of this person ever. Only 4.
You can't even get on Kings anymore if you're only 4 years late. Please.
I'm 5'9". So like, she said she's 5'2". Yeah, you would be like a dwarf to me. But small, white girls that are shorter than
MSK
a black guy.
Doesn't know how much 7 inches is.
I was taller than you. And you were like, "Man, you're a tall black guy." And I was like, "Okay."
No, I didn't. I said that to Vagabond, but not.
Wow.
Okay. Vagabond was tall, bro. It was like 6'2", 6'3", something like that.
I was the same size as him. So
you weren't. I'm gonna find some pictures. I took pictures.
You're fucking trolling.
Oh, I'm gonna find some. Don't worry, people. I'll post some pictures of MSK from Vegas last year. I'll show you all.
It's literally not true. Miss Sparkles, I know you said you might go. If you go, I want you to tell people on Twitter how tall, rich, and good looking that I am. Actually, you can ask Iron and Selena. Why would I lie about that? Oh my goodness. Did you clone yourself like Naruto and? What the hell? There's shadow clones on your screen, sir.
That's how much disbelief there was.
Give me one moment here. Okay. We're going to start talking about Bloodruth here in just a moment. Okay, so you have Isom 1, 2, Alpha Core, Yaira, Gooding, Horseman, Bloodruth. So it's 7 mainline books so far. And people are going to probably say, what about Ripazines? Those don't count, guys, because those are like promotional material for the company. These are like actual mainline books they're putting out. You know, that's not true. Not true. Never. I am a master of the horror, actually, you know? But the point of entertaining you guys is to really show you the value of streaming and content, you know? Because if I wasn't truly entertaining you, why would you be here? Are you not entertained? You know, Savage Dad is now smaller. Savage Dad is now smaller on his screen. Master of the game. Oh my goodness. Them's fighting words. You and me need to wrestle. I need to just take you down. I'm going to be the wrestling champion. My name is going to be McNuggins McBigMac. That's my wrestling name. I'm joking, guys. All right, let's fucking go. Because these reviews generally take a bit of time, and I have another one-on-one to get to in a little bit here. But
yeah,
bro, you have a show to get to too. All right.
I do.
Oh, you could just tell them to fuck off. You have me. No? All right.
Probably not.
Were you saying they have more clout than me?
Shags? Yeah. I like hanging out with Shags. Shags is the guy. It's been a minute.
What? I know Shags too. He can also attest to I'm tall, rich, and good looking as well. I even had lunch with him.
When did you have lunch with Shags?
No homo. Literally no homo at all. But we did have lunch together with me and him and No Green Rocks and Brahma Bull. I think Brahma Bull's wife.
Oh, yeah.
No, we did. And we randomly just stumbled upon Fear the Beardo as he was walking down. Just random Fear the Beardo just
Fear the Beardo was short, bro. He's like this fucking big. Like, seriously. Him and Gal in competition for...
Oh, my goodness. You're going to lose. I will always beat you in wrestling. I'm Dwayne The Rock Johnson of wrestling. All right, let's go. Hey everyone, I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, coming at you guys today with another video. And if you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video. And in today's video, we are going to be doing a comic book review on Bloodruth #1. So this is the 7th comic book released from Rippaverse Comics. So the previous other books are Isom #1, Isom #2, Alpha Core #1, Yaira #1, Gooding the Polymath, and the Horseman, Welcome to Fluorospark. And we finally pretty much round out the first 7 comic books released from the Rippaverse. And I want you guys to go and check out our Rippaverse comic book power ranking before Bloodruth #1. That way you guys can kind of get to understand how we feel about every single previous comic book released from the Rippaverse. And so that way, if you have like questions on how we feel about any of the other books, you can definitely go and check out that recent video, or you can go and check out all of our other comic book reviews on the Rippaverse, because we have reviewed literally every single book at this point. And we also do comic book reviews on DC Comics, Marvel Comics, various other, smaller indie comic books out there. And, also moving forward with this year, I like to do more Image Comics and Dark Horse comic stuff. We just recently did our first IDW comic book with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Naruto with Lunchbox Warren. So people always ask me, do you review manga too? Guys, any form of comic book, whether it be an omnibus, a trade, a floppy, anything, we review it here. And speaking of doing all different types of genres of comic book, I've never actually reviewed a horror comic book. I typically read like superhero comic book stuff or
horror comic books.
Well, I love reading horror books because I love finding out about how girls get completely pounded during sex. So that just turns me on. No, I'm basically a giant black guy that knows how to satisfy women in bed. All jokes aside. So Bloodruth first appears in Isom #2 along with Gooding, right? So this book takes place before the events of Isom number 2. And they also have a little marker on the book, literally in the very beginning, telling you that as well. So when she was first introduced in Isom number 2, very similar to Gooding the Polymath, I didn't really think they were that interesting of characters. I'm just being honest here. But I did think they were more interesting now that we've gotten the solo books for them, you know? Like Gooding the Polymath, what Mike Barron did with the whole prequel backstory of him was really, really cool. Keep in mind, I still don't think Gooding's interesting, but he did make him a little bit more interesting after that book, honestly. And then now after this book, Bloodruth now is a lot more interesting, given the fact that there's a lot of different places they can actually take this specific title in issues 2 and 3. Now, for those of you guys who are kind of not going to know this, because this might be the first Rippaverse comic book review you've ever stumbled upon us, I personally think Yaira number 1 is the weakest of the books, and I actually explained that a lot in our Rippaverse comic book power ranking. But for like long story short, the reason why Yaira number 1 is not as good as the other books is because it is just narratively disjointed and overhanded at certain points. Like the villains are very just not good. The dialogue is just super.
The villains became
explanatory. Like,
yeah, I think we got too many encounters with the villains without the villains developing or divulging or understanding what their intentions were. It's just like, oh, one encounter. Oh, and the book was so very long that, and it just didn't, for as long as the book was, it didn't give me as much as I hoped. Yaira, it gave me actually quite a bit about. I have no idea what was going on with the villains, though. Complete and utter blank space on the villains. They're outer space super beings, and that's it. You know, they're mad at her. Outer space super beings.
They're essentially like mad
maybe
Viltrumites and Saiyans coming
she
back down
to the world and landed on Earth, and she's semi-immortal. You know, she obviously had a bunch of kids over the decades and descendants and other, like, so
saying she was a sex addict. Oh God,
I don't know.
Popping out a lot of those
so much about the character, bro. But either way, like it was the thing that I had the hardest time was it was very, the script was very dense. It was very dialogue dense. You were chewing on a lot of dialogue the whole time, and the villains just bothered me because the villains didn't give me enough. And I'm really hoping that issue 2, because of the size constraint, this is one thing I'm finding when the Rippaverse books get some kind of constraint set on them, either like Bloodruth being in a particular period in time that had already passed as far as current continuity. A page count, I think, is going to do it. Like, I think Mike Barron did a lot with Gooding in a tight page count on that book, and he did a great job. And Mike Barron's a veteran. He's been doing it forever. He knows this craft inside and out. He's going to nail it. No concern there. I know that the Soska's write, and they write scripts for movies and other things like that, but comic books was a different thing. And like all of the things that have come to pass benefited Bloodruth greatly. I think this was, you know, without any spoilers, a very cohesive story from them. It's good. Like, I understood the villains. The villains were
very good
in the book for me.
Very
the
good.
Villains, I'm down for it. I like them. I like the demons, the representation of the demons. Like,
all of that.
The final demon we'll get to was like, this is good. Like, this is a thing that people were complaining about with the Rippaverse, what, a year ago, about, oh, the villains aren't good. The villains aren't good.
It wasn't like they weren't good. Like, no offense to Eric, they just sucked ass. The only one that was really good was the very first one he created. Like, what's crazy, the best villain he had ever did at that point was Darien, which is the very first villain in the very first book. That's crazy to think about, because the rest of the villains after that, it wasn't even the fact that they were just bad. They're just nothing.
They just didn't develop. They just weren't as developed. And, you know, and that was the problem that I had in Yaira, is that, like, I get what they are and that they're mad at her that she's there, but I don't know. There's so much that you don't know that the story needed a little more of it, because you see them once and you're like, okay, this is the initial contact, and but then you get another throwdown and it's like, nothing more is revealed, nothing changes. It's more focused on her progeny than it was on letting you know what's going on with the villains. And so we'll see in issue 2. I'm looking forward to that. But this, having a timeline constraint and everything else, they fit it in perfect to be butt up right against where
nothing to bring up,
run into her fully.
Because we talked about this, I think, off stream, which was the fact that I feel like with this book, it felt like it was just more of Jen and Sylvie. With Yaira, I felt like there may have been a huge compromise on what she was able to do in the first issue, because it felt like when they wrote this one, it felt like they were just able to unleash and be kind of more of what they are known for, which is horror.
A lot of this was in their vein, dude. I mean, demons and horror and stuff. This is stuff that they're familiar with, and this is the thing. And that's why I had a feeling this book was definitely going to be even better than Yaira. Like, they were going to really step it up a notch. And like, not to jump ahead, but like, I saw this scene when I was scrolling through the book, and I'm like, oh, we got some fucking cool looking, we got some good villains. And I like the way he kind of was as a villain. He was like this like complete and utter
dumb brute demon villain,
brute sociopath, like completely whacked out of his gourd, but also kind of dumb. And the villains or the demons kind of escalated.
That's what I liked, was the fact that it felt like a type of horror movie you watch where you go through each villain as they kind of build up to the final boss. That was really good. That's why this book is better than their previous one, because their previous one, narrative and dialogue and villains were all just disjointed, and it felt like it just was too long, and it felt like a expositional dump. This one is perfectly fine. Honestly, I'm glad we did our power ranking before this one came out, because this one is probably going to end up being in my top 3. It's very, very good. It's actually knocked it out of the park, honestly.
What I loved about it,
for me, knocks down Goodieing, because I think if I had to rank them now, it would be Horseman still number 1, Alpha Core, and be this one. Probably similar. I'll probably have this one maybe number 2 or the 3, depending on how I feel.
What I loved about the book is it had this, it felt like you were on a dungeon crawl in a video game. She goes in, boom, she's in this dark, like, it's like a cat. What it went through, like, it was like playing Castlevania or something, dude. Here's this demon slayer. She didn't have a whip. Well, she kind of, I mean, I don't know, energy, but with her powers, and she's going through, and she's like just kicking ass with with these demons and felling demons and going through this kind of like castle. Like, it was like it's a dungeon, but there's a very Castlevania kind of feel to it at the end of the day. It was, I liked it a lot. I like the setup for the character. I like the background they gave the character. And this is the thing, like, they set up the character. Like, Yaira took that whole book to really give you everything you needed to know about Yaira. Like, you don't need to know more about Yaira. I need to know about her villains. I'm completely covered on Yaira for the most part until other things develop or we find out why she's in trouble. But Bloodruth, in the first couple pages, they kind of give you the setup for who she is, why she is the way she is, what her family is. And then you find out more things about, like, what went on.
Too. Like, I feel like for every one of their books, guys, I'm not kidding you, because I think did I say this earlier in the review? No, I didn't. So I'll make sure I say it right now before we go into the book. With their books, I typically have to read them within about 2 hours of time frame, because their books are just literally just full blown trade paperbacks for a character arc, right? So
this is that French bande dessinée style and that's the thing, like we were talking about. Like, this story is written to be this long.
Yeah,
it isn't written like a floppy. There isn't the
stories can't be written like floppies, like we said. They just
literally. I mean,
I don't know, man.
Alpha Core could
so hard. Alpha Core could maybe.
Alpha Core could. So yeah, but the story was written in such a way that they knew that they had a page count and a period of time to deal with, and they nailed it. They absolutely hit it right out of the park on that one. They gave you a background. They gave you enough of an understanding of who she is and her family and the stuff like that that makes her who the character that she is, and her motivations you understood, and even the villains, motivations you kind of get, like, they're
easily.
It was
easy, straight to the point. They're just demonic villains.
And that was what was great, is that, like, even though the beginning was slow, because you've got a lot of exposition, world building, character building, and say the first 24 pages, which would be the first issue of a book. But then if you, like I was saying, if you think about the olden days when comic books debuted with a 48-page double size comic, you would have got some of the action there at the beginning with that first kind of minor villain. And then the whole rest of the book is this consistent throwdown. So what they've been doing is writing it in these 3 acts that I think work out pretty well, but like all the way even to the final act, there's action, there's still more character building, a little more world building going on. You get to understand more of her background and her family's background. And thank you.
Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention was the fact that all their books tend to do this. That's why I have to read them very early on before a review, because their first acts, I think in every book, is slow. All the first acts are slow.
It's because they're all new,
slow build up.
Goodyeing wasn't. I don't think that one was quite as slow of a build up.
Horseman's wasn't as slow for the first act, but I feel like every single one of their books' first acts are slow as hell. But when you finally get to the second and third act, it picks up very well, and it actually ends off pretty good for the most part. But goddamn, can the first acts just pick up a little bit? Just a little.
Dude, I think it depends on the character, though.
Yeah,
like it really does depend. And this was the first issue, so like issue 2, when we start, Gyra, we're gonna finally see an issue 2 of somebody other than Isom, and it's gonna be moving along. I think I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with Isom 3, because I think that Eric's learned a lot since the first 2 books, and it's going to be nice to see, how well all this moves now.
Oh, I will also say, because you're going to ask, what is your favorite part? Because that's for some reason a really cringe thing people talk about when it comes to these books. I would say I had several favorite parts, honestly. The part where she was taken over by the final villain in the
dude, that was so good.
Where
I don't want to give up his name or anything, but it was good.
Oh my god, where they had this part. Oh, this was really good.
Yeah.
This where she was entrapping her, where he was entrapping her in this like vision that he had for how much he wanted to destroy the world, and she was gonna give birth to like Antichrist, whatever. Man, I would say this is some of the best art the Rippaverse has ever had. I think this book has the best art for any Rippaverse book by far.
Dude,
the art in this is so damn good.
Montanet?
Yeah, he was a winner of the Rippaverse fan contest back during like Isom number 2.
Dude, he's
very good, very talented. Keep this guy on book. That guy should be a mainstay artist for the Rippaverse. This guy,
they need to keep this guy around. Absolutely, but
we'll get to that. That's good. But yes, let's get into it. And just one more thing I want to mention. This is probably how I think most Rippaverse books should be. The first act, even though they might be rather slow, sets it up beautifully, ties in various key points you need to know. Later on, Act 2, you get things picking up, and then in Act 3, you just kind of tie it all together. A basic 3-act structure, you guys would think, right? Well, if you guys haven't read a lot of comic books like I have, that's very hard for a lot of people to do, actually, even in 24 pages, actually. But I do feel like in this book, Jen and Sylvie did a lot more better of a job than they did with Yara number 1. And I don't think there's anything else I need to mention. I'll say this, though. They gave Bloodruth a lot more of a personality in this book, and that was going to be by default anyway because it's in issue number 1. But I do feel like her first appearance, she was just, okay. What do they call that character? Not a MacGuffin. It's a character where you just, like, kind of utilize them just to get to the next thing. She just felt like she was just utilized to just get to the next part, honestly. Didn't really feel like I should give a fuck that she exists at all. But it did feel like it gave her a...
but
God, what was it?
Should be.
There's a word.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm not able to think of the name right now.
I forgot the fucking word. We'll probably remember the word later on.
Filler character or just a plot device kind of.
A plot device. Yeah. I felt like she was just a plot device to just tell Isom about the realms and
remember we talked about this in Isom too, where we were like let Isom get to the point and stop. Like, we get it. You want to introduce all these characters, and I really think that Ripazine, what he should have done after Isom 1's success is be like, hey, I have all these ideas for a bunch of other great characters. I'm going to drop this 100-page giant issue with short stories about each of them to just introduce people to them. We're going like one issue, put that out, let people see it, see what sort of responses you get from people, and get to gauge from there. That would have been better than like, we're gonna show you all of these characters and just drop them in here for no reason. But yeah, it's good to see her fleshed out a bit more. I like how they took her from kind of like, I mean, she took over all of Isom 2, but she didn't feel as defined. You were guessing at what her powers were, and you didn't know. The book set everything straight. This is what, like, a good first issue, a good introduction to a character. It's something that lets you know their backstory, their power set. A lot of the things that people complained about with Isom #1, because, I don't know what Isom does. It's like, this one is not like that. This kind of nails it all down right from go, and you're done.
That's still. I was thinking about this earlier today with Isom. The fact that I like the events surrounding him more than him as a character, and I don't like the detractors are stupid, but a broken clock, broken clock, right twice a day. Not knowing his power set fully or having him like more of an interesting character is kind of somewhat lacking to a certain degree. Like, he's not interesting. He isn't, but he could be interesting because you see there's something there. It's not like he's a completely shitty character. He's just not like an interesting character yet. But there's nuggets there. Like, you don't hate the guy at all. I don't hate the character.
Well, that's the thing. Like, in both of his books, they weren't even just Isom books.
They were set up for the whole comic book company.
I think Eric was still figuring out kind of where everything was going to live, and by the nature of continuing to work on a habit, to work on a hobby, to work on a project, you keep doing it, you get better. And he's working with people who are professionals that now can give him some guidance and other things. Like,
I would imagine Isom #3
Chuck Dixon and Mike Barron in there.
Yeah,
as far as stories are concerned. They can help them out with that. And I look forward to 3.
The best way of really describing the first act, because the second act is pretty much when everything starts really picking up. So if you guys saw the Bloodruth official trailer launch when they were about to, have the book launch on Halloween, actually, which I thought was very fitting considering the fact this is a horror book, right? So you get that story about the damned and everything, which is pretty much the beginning part of the book right here. So the part that I really want to focus on and move towards is when you have Bloodruth at home, and then after that, she herself goes and talks to her dad, and her dad doesn't talk to her. Now, this is later on revealed at the end of the third act of the book, but after that, she basically, starts inner monologuing about, her past and how much she lost other people in her life. And then after that, she rides her dragon somewhere. And then she ends up meeting Goody. Yeah, good old Goody the polymath meets her because she ended up meeting him. He talks to her about, hey, I have this person that wants to meet you. And they ended up having a bit of a interesting scuffle. She's very feisty, let's just say that. But then after that, Goody ends up convincing her to go where he wanted her to go. They end up meeting Michael and Lillian. Now, as you guys know, I think Lillian's a cool character. I don't like Michael. I think Michael's just trash. Literally, even in this book, you could get rid of Michael. He's not interesting. I could give two shits about if he exists or not. But basically, Michael and Lillian tell her that, hey, I want you to go and basically evict this tenant out of this place, and I will pay you whatever you want. So that's all the setup you have right there. So then after that, as she's basically kind of hearing them talk, she can also feel that they're up to something no good. Like, she has a power set where she could essentially kind of, I was like, read someone's mind, but kind of visualize in her head what they've done previously to see if they're a good or a bad person right there. And Gooding also shows Bloodruth where they're going to go, which is a castle that was in Isom #2. Now, after that, as I just told you, she has where she kind of can feel people out and see if they're good or bad people, which is what she does for Michael and Lillian. And then later on, they end up going to this church place right here. I think this is the castle. No, This is not. But they end up at this church, and that's Stefania. And that was a really cool Easter egg there, because it said in Yara #1 that she's kind of just a delinquent. She doesn't have any like real actual feelings about what she's doing. Not true. She apparently does have feelings, honestly. She does, she wants to be a better person, but as typical with women, they just continuously are not good people. Jokes aside, right? So Stefania sees Bloodruth, she runs, but that was a nice little cool Easter egg there. After that, they head to the castle, where that's where honestly the rest of the book is going to be taking place.
Yeah.
So after that point, you're just in the second act when you're at this castle. So the main part of the first book that I just mentioned to you, the whole damn thing, is because if she kills something or someone, they go to hell. That's kind of like a power set that she has. And earlier on in the book, it's revealed that she has a brother or several brothers and a mother, actually. And then as we are at this castle, it starts to become this kind of, I would say, a video game where you fight a villain from like level 1 to level 2 to level 3 to level 4, as you take on the dumb brute character, or you take on the random like bug character that transforms into a humanoid looking thing, and then he fights you, So she enters the castle without Gooding because he can't come in because his equipment does not work past a certain point of the castle. So this is the part where I think a lot of people were criticizing Eric because of the whole double page spread thing. He had mentioned the fact that he probably made a mistake on that, because I didn't care for this when I read it, I'll be honest here, but I can kind of notice why a double page spread there would have been better. Like if you had this page and this one as the double page spread, that's better. I'll be honest. I don't know why that wasn't. I mean, that's honestly just a mistake. I think it's not good.
I think when he reprints it, I think when this gets into a collected edition, this is going to be done right, because this. Well, you can blame Eric. I would also blame Kanan White for not catching this. He's the art director. He should have seen this and said, "Are you guys on crack?" That's what I would have said, because missed opportunity. It doesn't flow or work the same way. I get it. You're kind of like you're hiding the villain there a little bit, but like that whole scene when you flip over from this page and you flip to that page and you see that all that together there, perfect. You got a whole splash. You see the whole thing, music in the background. You see Choke. You see the arm getting ripped off by the loony looking nutso ass demon and shit. And you're like,
they called this villain.
You know Choke, where I'm at.
The Great Choke Greater Demon. Now that it's one of those things now, or as you've read it, that will look beautiful as a double page spread. I'll be honest here, I really don't know
that was the
why.
First thing I saw when I saw it, I'm like, why?
Yeah, like I don't know why Eric chose to just keep it as a regular page, but keep in mind, I'll just say it didn't hurt the overall experience of reading the book. I'm just saying it was not a good idea to not have it as double page spread. But after that, he's essentially kind of like this level 1 villain kind of character. They give you a little bit of a smaller glimpse into Bloodruth's backstory. I don't think you needed that page there. That could have been in the third act, but I get why it's there. But I personally feel like that could have been later on in the third act. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's just later on it's better. So essentially, this demon is apparently making people dance with him, and he's ripping their limbs off. That's it. She eventually does.
Yeah, he's just creepy.
She eventually does get the better of him. Honestly, she has this armor that she put on. I thought that was really, really cool. I was like,
yeah, that was kind of interesting. Like she got armored up a bit because she realized this guy was kind of tough, and it didn't last very long. I mean, her powers are based on her blood, so and the ability to control it or use it for certain magics, I'm assuming. But yeah, it's like very, very interesting to see her armor up. They hadn't shown that before, so that was
I also felt
cool.
like they flexed her powers better in this book too. So she uses her powers to take control of all the people that he killed and have them basically just get on top of him and attack him. And then that one item that she grabbed earlier in Act 1 out of that briefcase. She uses that and throws it at him, and she blows him up. So that's basically villain 1 down. But she does mention the fact that she's lost a lot of blood. Now, keep in mind, very important, because as her powers work in item number 2, the more she exerts, her power comes from how strong her blood is, from what I remember. And obviously, as a human or any type of character, I guess she's weirdly supernatural. She's not exactly a meta-human. There's going to be a limit to how much power she can put out because there's only so much blood you have, obviously. So after that, she starts investigating the castle more, trying to figure out, like, okay, why did Michael and Lillian send her here? And then you have that nod to Isom number 2, where in Isom number 2, you guys will remember that she was talking to Isom about there's not multiverses in this universe. There's different realms, actually. So after that, she basically goes around the castle looking for more stuff to figure out, like, hey, why am I here? She ends up hitting a book a little bit. Now, keep in mind, I had to go back and read this panel here. So if you notice in this panel, there's a tiny little moth there. And then later on in this right here, you have a villain named Deer Trick. And that villain ends up fighting Bloodruth. And that ends up just not being her true form later on. And as they battle each other, they go through it. She ends up looking like some humanoid centipede, what do you call him? Helling, actually. And then she ends up beating that villain by sealing her in the book called Into the Void, which I imagine will be a plot device later on in Isom number 3. I feel like a lot of this was introing to what maybe Isom number 3 was going to have, because there was a lot of nods there.
It does make me think that Isom 3 is Isom's going to wind up being a bit more of a religiously based character. Like he's going to have, maybe he's like a paladin almost kind of type or something. You know, I don't know, but yeah, I think his tie with Bloodruth and the going to hell and the whole thing, at the end of the day, it's going to be, he's going to wind up having a power set more along the lines with that, and it's just I don't know. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
After she seals the Deer Trick villain, who's a centipede, let me just make sure I have the name right. Good Lord.
Yeah.
That villain was, Deer Tick. Okay, so after she seals Deer Tick and she's beaten Choke before that, she ends up feeling basically, what's that word where you're basically really, really tired and you're knocked out? You're like, oh my goodness, there's a word for it. Jeez.
She's been exhausted.
She's super exhausted. She starts hallucinating.
Like having a vision. Yeah, she's hallucinating, having these visions,
talking about
past, and
her brother actually appears. So this is why I didn't go over the first act, because I needed to cover it here. So essentially, in the first act, if you really look at the story of the Damned, because apparently Jen and Sylvia Soska are now, like I say, Christians, whatever. What they're doing right here in the first part of the book is Cain and Abel. If you guys know that story from the Bible, Cain and Abel is the legendary brother story where I forgot which brother did it, but one of the brothers ended up killing the other brother, and they're implying that it was the devil that kind of nudged the other brother to do it. And you guys know the story of Cain and Abel. That's the duality of man. It's a very, very, it's actually my personal, one of my favorite stories in the Bible, actually. I'm not actually religious myself. But her brother is named Abel as well, as she's still kind of really, really exhausted from her last battle against Deer Tick. And then after that, she ends up in another part of her hallucination where the staircase appears, and then another one of her brothers appears and talks to her and says, you can't, there's no going back, actually. And she wakes up once again and she starts going back down the rest of the castle. Now, keep in mind what I said about the level of villains here. So then we end up seeing this master character named Therion that Choke talked about. Now, this is what I'm pretty sure this character is supposed to be, basically just one of those gag funny characters. As you guys know, her powers can essentially put together like dead people back together, or at least make them like appear like that they're alive, honestly.
Yeah.
So she basically revives
voodoo zombies, basically, or blood zombies, whatever you want to call them.
She basically revives Therion, and he's mostly just a funny character. That's
but at the same time, I'm not sure exactly, but I think he was some kind of powerful magician to some extent. That's how he wound up summoning these guys. He's just not necessarily competent. It's how he fucked up and got himself and everybody else killed. So.
Oh, and after that, they talk a bit more about, okay, who the hell are you? And you could tell he's really interested in his chocolate. I'm not into black girls, but he sure liked his black woman. She was like, "Get off me, you white man! I don't touch white people." No, that's not said, guys. I'm joking there. But later on, they end up getting attacked by another villain. This one is called Faye, and then this one is also working in tandem with the final boss villain of the book. Now, there was technically another villain after that, but that's in the past, and we'll get into just a moment here. Yeah. So Faye ends up capturing them both. Faye ends up slicing off of Therion's hands, honestly, and Bloodruth, being a Bloodruth, means that her blood is very valuable, very much powerful in various other ways. So he starts, sucking her off. He starts basically trying to drain all the blood out of her. And then she ends up without her typical attire. Man, if that was Gyra or Saoirse, that would look way better.
Like this is how I knew that he was something more than just comic relief, because in order to keep him from reciting incantations or anything else that may be detrimental to her, she like literally sewed his mouth shut and shit. And I was like, oh fuck. So that was like pretty wild. And then she like tore all of Sydney's clothes off, threw her in a nightgown, and drug her along.
Edward got a chance to see like all her fucking meat and shit. God damn, what a fucking bastard. But Faye ends up doing everything that you just said, and then you actually meet the final villain of the book, which is Morningstar. I'll have to say, all up to this point, the villains were very interesting. It felt very horror related in the way that you kind of take down one villain, get to the other one. Now, keep in mind, in horror movies, when you usually have this, like you have human characters kind of running from them, so it's not as interesting. But in this book, which made it a lot more interesting, she's able to actually physically fight them back, and they really put her through a good character arc, because it is also able to show you later on in the book that even though she's definitely weak at a certain point later on in the book, she was able to overcome it based off of something that happened in the past that we'll cover here in a moment. So Faye brings her to Morningstar, which is obviously the final villain of the book.
One of my second favorite scenes in the book, when it's like, because she's talking about the buildup, and like, I'm glad she hasn't said that she keeps calling him the devil, but it isn't the actual devil. And then you roll over and I'm like, oh no, that's kind of like the actual devil.
Isn't the name Lucifer
Morningstar? Yeah, Lucifer Morningstar. Like it's no, we're right there. Here he is.
Yeah,
the devil. Straight up the devil.
So, he starts basically manipulating her, getting into her mind, and then you actually get into the third act is so good. This is very, very good stuff here. So he basically gets inside of her head, and then you get the backstory on Bloodruth's family. So essentially, Bloodruth's backstory with her family about why most of her family is dead is because they were fighting another previous demon called Silk, right? So they were fighting Silk, and Silk ended up taking over, what was it, her mother, right? Did Silk take over her mother? That's at least from what I noticed, right? Silk ended up taking over her mother, actually, and then now has her mother her mother is a minion of Silk, actually, and then, she was trying to obviously, get away from them, and the reason why she felt, I would say, the reason why her dad was mad at her was because he got mad at her that she ran away and that she didn't bother fighting to save her mom. That was okay. And she even said later in the book, I'd rather have you go down fighting than run away like some bitch. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that's her mom who got taken over by Silk, because there's another black lady there. So her mom got taken over by a demon, and keep in mind, she hadn't faced a demon at that point anyway. And then her dad's mad at her because she ran away. Her brothers ended up dead. And then you get to the front. So you have that. Then you get back to the main plot of the story, where you have Morningstar in her mind, basically showing her all they can conquer together. She can basically give birth to the Antichrist and all this stuff. Basically, what demons do, they kind of get inside your head and go, I can give you everything. This is some of the best art, I think, in the book ever. In the river, this is so good. Look at this right here. Just dude. The Morning Star reveal. You have this right here.
You got the panel over here with with Cain and Abel there. Like, you got to understand, like, also, like, from the beginning of the book there, like the beginning of the kind of the story, they're explaining that, like, her family's bloodline goes back to biblical times, and they were cursed. I'm trying to remember what exactly was it here. I mean, you can continue. I'm gonna try to
fine. So
the blood does not lie. The truth,
So you have the part where
he succumbs to temptation.
So you have the part where Morningstar is still in her head, and then he says, "Now you have divine knowledge, like the apple in the garden." And you guys know what that means. That's the whole Adam and Eve thing, actually. And then she notices that the necromancer guy, Therion, is on the ground bleeding, so she ends up dousing herself in more blood. Now, she knew that she was under a hypnosis. So a lot of people are going to be like, how did she kind of understand to get the blood right there? She knew she was under hypnosis. I mean, it's pretty she even tells you right there she's under hypnosis. And then after that, she douses herself in blood. And when you know what that means, it means her power is back essentially at full power. And then after that, she ends up reciting this right here. I've heard that type of chant in the Vampire Diaries. It's something that, like, one of the characters, Bonnie, was citing. I remember this type of chant. I just fucking can't recite it word for word because that would be me rapping at a level you guys don't want to be seeing. That'd be like talking in tongues. But essentially, she gets her power back from the necromancer after she realizes that, hey, I cannot let this happen. This guy cannot do to me what happened to my mother. And then she ends up, casting a spell that destroys Morningstar. And that's how
Morningstar and the other one too. Like, it took them both out.
Remember, they were linked, remember, because Faith said that Morningstar was his master. So apparently they must have been linked. And then she ends up naked right there. I'm not into black girls because that's disgusting.
She had a nice booty.
But white girls are better. Just saying. So after that, she ends up giving the necromancer guy his hands back. And then after that, she says, hey, I don't know what the hell Michael and Lillian just put me through, but that was some bullshit. And she basically goes back and she says, hey, I'm taking this castle for myself. That's it.
And that was a funny thing. Like, that was kind of I realized kind of where it was going to go at one point from what they said. I'm like, because the castle shows up in Isom, and I'm like, oh, she's going to fuck him out of that castle. And she did.
Yeah, you kind of knew the end of it because if you already read Isom number 2, you knew the castle is theirs.
You know where it was going, and that's and you know what, that doesn't take away from the rest of what went on in the story, I thought. But like, her family's bloodline is basically cursed from original sin, and carries on, throughout all of history and time, et cetera, et cetera. But it came to a good conclusion. Like, I like the way it ended. She got kind of like back at them for them kind of like screwing her over. And really the person they apparently wanted out was the asinine magician guy, who happened to summon a bunch of demons because he's an idiot.
Yeah, that's the thing. He was a character that summoned a bunch of dead people or demons or whatever.
No, he summoned the actual, like, the great.
Oh, it was the books though. No, it was the books.
Created a crack for them to get in.
He said, I think she had told him to stop messing with the books because they were actually leaking out other demons. That's where all the other ones came through, like the whole into the void book. Deer Tick
one came from, and they put her in and everything, and
And then basically Gooding tells them, hey, not only is she taking your castle, but I'm getting paid too. Because
you owe me some money.
And then
Lillian, like, I don't even know what the fuck happened. I'm the IT guy.
And then Lillian gets very angry that they lost out on the castle, but they end up doing the whole typical villain thing where it's like, no, now we have another plan we're gonna end up doing. That's just
that'll be in the next book that Jen and Sylvie are working on. We'll see. And they all have I think they both have
those are prequel books.
Are they going to be together?
No, those are
Oh.
prequel books setting up how these guys got to where they are. So the next places
Oh.
Lillian and what's his name, Michael could appear is like item number 3 or Alpha Core number 2. Because I don't know if that's referencing that Eagle thing that happened. Because I'm pretty sure that's not. That's a reference to something way different. Because it says Aztec declares bankruptcy amid scandal. So, but that's the typical cliche of like, oh, next time I'm gonna do another plan and it'll be even better. Oh, it felt so just God, man. These comic book tropes are so stupid. But basically, at the end of the book, Therion, Edward, and Bloodruth have a nice little back and forth banter about, the house rules. So she essentially, imagine this black lady. She went into a white guy's house, took it over, and said, "You're my slave now." That's what Bloodruth basically did. Because now she owns the castle. So she owns the white man.
Yeah, then you get the back, but the real end, you get the first like in canon Dokuman appearance. Yeah. So that was kind of interesting. Like, oh, here's the Watcher. I mean, and now we've got an outer space book coming on Friday, so that'll be interesting to see if I'm not usually big into the outer space cosmic adventuring stories, so I don't know. I'll have to see what Chuck Dixon or whatever they put out in the trailer. If it looks interesting on Friday, I'll see if it's something I'm going to be into, but I don't know. I usually trust Chuck Dixon with most things. I haven't seen him do outer space stuff before, but he's done like tons of shit that you don't even know he did. Like he's written some Transformer books.
No, dude,
the guy's been
Chuck
everywhere,
Dixon's
dude.
wrote pretty much everything. And so with him coming up, if you guys like Chuck Dixon's writing, which I do, he's going to be writing The Great War of Separation. So the next books are...
Bro, you should try to get him on your show sometime.
Good Lord. That's another story in itself. But we have Yara number 2, The Great War of Separation coming. And... Oh, no. Wait. It's Zaylin first. Because Zaylin
is...
No, wait. They're having Friday? A Zaylin. Yeah. So Yara number 2 is first. I know that for sure. Then it's Great War of Separation.
Soon. I mean, it should fulfill before Great War of Separation. But I think that one maybe got back from the printer first because Eric keeps saying it's about to start fulfilling. So,
yeah.
It's really weird because I feel like I just ordered that book like not very long ago.
Yeah, Great War of Separation. It feels like that.
I know. Wow.
Yeah, they're
it's not going to be good because we're not waiting 5 years.
Oh no, that's where quality happens. You must wait 7 years for quality books, like that one fat fuck always tries to preach. But I forgot. Ripazine number 3, Yara number 2, Great War of Separation, Ripazine number 3. Then after that, we're probably going to get Zaylin, and Zaylin's a character that I was definitely interested in. Yeah, that one I'm really interested in. But the one that I'm mostly interested in is the Horseman number 1 and definitely a Salvage PI. Those ones are definitely on my radar to get ASAP.
Yeah, I'm looking to see. I always like street level people and characters. Like, so how do you pronounce it? Sarce, the redhead.
Saoirse. Yeah.
And Savage PI.
You could just say big titty
have their
white
own
bitch.
Individual books. A big titty redhead. Yeah, whatever. You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
So, yep, time to do our final thoughts and opinions on Bloodruth number 1. I will say this. This was very, very good. The dialogue was great. Felt very horror-esque in every way possible. Demon aspects. I mean, you had biblical references there. Oh,
yeah,
it's really good. This is easily
like I said,
one of the best books they've ever done. I had no hope for this book. I'll be honest here, because I didn't think she was that interesting to begin with. But
I didn't think so either. I didn't care about the character in Isom 2. I was just like,
I never got the hype that she had.
What
anyway.
is going on?
Never got it.
Like, what is this? Yeah. Well, I mean, Eric, if they're Eric's characters, it's his company. You got to hype that shit to 11 all the time, period. That's part of what the grift, the grind, the being an entrepreneur is. You're always hyping this shit. Even if you don't know how it's going to turn out, you have to be excited about it because you have to care about it because you created it. This is the same thing I tell Vaughn all the time, and why I appreciate Phenomenova and the work he puts into it is because he seems so excited about that book. He seems invested. He seems genuinely to give a shit about what he's putting out there. And you've got to be able to sell that to people, not drama and crying and bullshit and a bunch of pathetic jack-offery. You've got to make it seem like you give a shit about the book. And this is the thing that no amount of waiting for quality will make up for. is the fact that at some point it feels like you don't give a shit if anybody ever sees it. You don't even want to do it. You are so uninvested in this book that you can't get it done in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, whatever the fuck. If you're not invested in it, I don't know how you expect a fan base to be invested in it, for new people to be interested in it. Because that's what sells people. That's what looks interesting. Why do you think Stan Lee was always so interesting? He was so vibrant and excited about these characters.
He had a personality.
That's
that goes.
Well, that is one thing that many of the certain indie people.
It's crazy. Most artists don't have a personality. But to be fair, I understand, because artists are very weird in-house people that don't ever interact with normal human beings. So I was also going to put out here, the Rippaverse ads have been getting way better every each book. I remember when I first criticized the random ads in like page 12, all the ads are on the back of the book now, which is good. And they also give you a timeline order of books to read in order for the Rippaverse. So people always ask, like, where do I start? Start at ISO number 1, then ISO number 2, then Alpha Core number 1, Yaira number 1.
See, now you're going to slap Yaira in the middle of all of those there. But the only real problem that this book had is the fuck up on a 2-page spread. Absolutely a mistake to have done it the way it was done. But the art was like, this guy is good. Like,
this guy's really good.
Seriously,
he was a fan contest winner. He was the guy that won the ISO number 2 fan contest. This guy,
great job.
Random guy I've never heard of in my entire life won a fan contest. Delivered. This is debatably the second. This is debatably a top 3 Rippaverse book, in my opinion. Out of all the,
you know what else is really good about this too? You had one artist, one colorist. I don't even see an inker in here, so I'm assuming he did his own ink. And I lay the blame on Kane and White a bit for missing this 2-page spread opportunity. But other than that, and yes, it's a missed opportunity to have done it better, but you know, the major leagues have fucked up opportunities like that. I've seen this kind of like missed opportunity with a page turn before. And you know what it isn't MSK? It isn't 4 pages of black ink in a 96-page book that you tried to sell people was 96 pages.
Quality
black ink.
If you're not waiting 5 years,
dots that people waited 4 years to get. 4 black pages.
If you're not waiting 5 years for a book, then you're not really in it for the long haul. Well, what was that saying? Yeah. If you're not with them at their lowest, how can you be with them at their highest?
Yeah, they're definitely high. Say that.
But I'll ask you, closing thoughts on Bloodruth number 1, the 7th comic book released for the Rippaverse.
Really good. Definitely one of the best ones they've done so far. I appreciated getting to see Jen and Sylvie very much in their element. Girls, this is you, and it exudes you. It exudes your personality, your feistiness, your interest in the character, your excitement to actually write the character. So nothing but good things to say about that. I'll be back for issue 2. Absolutely. Especially if we're going to see more of her booty.
No, black women are disgusting. Easily 1 out of 10s, or at least black women are literally either 1 out of 10s or 7 out of 10s. There's no in between for women like that. But all jokes aside, as for me, the dialogue was great. The story was really, really good. The pacing was awesome. Just pretty much just literally a top 3 Rippaverse comic book easily.
Yeah, definitely.
Very, very enjoyable read. This will definitely, maybe, potentially, because there's a lot of stuff I'm reading that I've read this year so far. Hopefully, if things get either better or they stay on the same wavelength, this might end up being one of my best comic books that I've read in 2025. But yeah, Sylvie Soska knocked it out of the park. And hey, if they ever want to come on the show for a podcast appearance, you know, Riz Master,
invite him, dude. Why not ask him?
Riz Master MSK knows how to talk to the ladies. So yeah, thank you guys.
I don't know about that. You might want to take it down a notch beforehand, but
dang it. What do you mean? I'm professional.
Yep.
Oh, no, but great book. It was very, very fun to read. I never really read a comic book horror. How would I say this? I never read a horror comic book before, because I was going to say I never read a comic book horror, and that would just sound very odd to people. But yeah, horror comic books, definitely looking forward to reading more of them. actually, because this one was really, really good. So yeah, thank you guys for checking out this video. If you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you've not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video. I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, and we're going to sign out, guys. See you guys later. Deuces. Peace.
Peace.
And before we go, do you have anything you want to say before we head out?
Not a ton. Catch me on Rogues Gallery this Friday, and in a few minutes, go check out Shagworth's channel. If you're not sticking around for MSK's next interview, I'll be on the midweek hump here in about 15 minutes.
Wait, hold on. What if I don't want to hump in the midweek? What if I want to hump at the end of the night? That doesn't help me.
It's still the midweek, though. It's just the end of the middle of the week.
Yeah, but like, what if I want to hump like a girl at the end of the night?
Then you should do that too.
Like you guys' show don't give me a lot of fucking. I have to only hump a girl or have sex with her in just Wednesday? Really?
That's not what it's about at all.
Oh,
it's just called the midweek hump.
But what if I want to do it at the end of the night?
Then you should do it then. Like you are.
There's no girls, but there's no girls here because there's just a couch.
Oh well. Ain't no couch. Don't lie to people. Don't lie to chat. Ain't got no.
Oh my god. Oh gosh, man. Oh, what was I gonna bring up? Oh yeah. So next week we're not going to review anything on Wednesday. We're doing the show. We're gonna do our comic book hot takes. 6 o'clock on time because there's no books to review. Imagine if we didn't start on time and we had no books to review. That would be out of this world, legendary, right, guys? But I do want to say thank you to every single person that did come by and watch the show. It's always amazing.
Always cool to see chat blowing the
up. And I always tell people always ask me, do you ever get burned out of your? No, I never ever get burned out doing this. I love doing this. There's people that can only have like one episode in their podcast a week. We're able to do it we're literally able to do it every single day, for this show, minus Sunday, really, essentially, So yeah, you guys are awesome. And you can always watch the replay. And the next Ribbiverse comic books to review is what? Yaira number 2? Or is it going to be Great War of Separation?
Or Great War of Separation? Don't know. Whichever one gets out first.
Jen and Sylvie, I hope they please don't run it down on Yaira number 2. Please don't. Just have Yaira getting blown out by a black guy, like a Tyrone. And then, I'll give your book an 8 out of 10. Hypothetically speaking.
Uh-huh.
What else do I want to say? Oh, I think I'm a black guy. Did you notice that?
I never noticed that before. Didn't know.
All right. So, yeah. Thank you guys for checking out this episode of the MSK Show. Me and Professor Savage, I will be back here next Wednesday for some comic book hot takes with the boys. We're gonna get a cold beer and we're gonna start drinking with the boys. Actually, knock a cold one back and go, "Yep, Batman's overrated," and then it's gonna be 5 hours just to that.
Yep, pretty much.
God. And Savage Dad is a huge fan of Heather Ontos. That's his favorite comic book editor currently right now, who had a shirt that said "Hail Satan." Oh, fuck. All right. Hope you guys had a great day, and we will see you guys later.